Welcome everyone to today's spotlight on LHH. If this is your first time at one of our events, we have some quick housekeeping items at the top. Please use the chat box to comment, to share where you're zooming in from, to say hello to our panelists, to show some love for Path Forward. We are so happy to hear from you. We want to see your engagement, your excitement, which brings me to my second housekeeping item. If you do have any questions for our panelists, for Path Forward during this event, please use the Q&A box. We want to make sure that we're able to answer all of your questions. And if the chat gets going, the questions will fly by and we won't be able to see them. We don't want to miss your questions. So we just ask that you please put your questions in the Q&A box so that we can get to them all and send the answers to those questions to you all as part of the follow-up email. We do have closed captions enabled. So if you would like subtitles for this event, there is a CC button on your control panel that you can press to enable the closed captions, and you will get a recording and the slides and a copy of the Q&A in tomorrow's follow-up email. And without any further ado, let's get started. Welcome to Path Forward. If this is your first time with us, Path Forward is a nonprofit whose mission is to empower caregivers to return to the paid workforce. And we do this in a variety of ways. We provide numerous resources, including our weekly newsletter, our returnship matcher. Our website is loaded to the brim with resources, articles, interviews, success stories. And of course, we have our online community where you can all connect to each other, share resources. And via that community, we host mock interviews, we host resume redo workshops, lots of good stuff in our community as well. If you're not already a member, please do sign up. And we are, of course, a nonprofit. So if you are in a place to give a donation today, we happily accept. These are some comments from Rachna, an alumna of the All-State program from 2021, sharing some words about why she donates, why Path Forward is a place that she wants to continue to give back to. So if you have found any of our resources useful to you, we do ask, if you can donate, please do. Every little bit helps. But I want to turn our attention to Adecco Group and LHH today. They have a wonderful program that they're putting together, and they are eager to get to meet you all. They want to see your applications. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lane to tell us more about Adecco Group and why we're all here today.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning to some of you. I see you California folks on the call. Nice to meet you. I'm Lane Gandy, and I'm a director at the Adecco Group US Foundation, a subsidiary of the Adecco Group. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. Some of you guys may be asking who the Adecco Group is because you know, we're actually one of the leading talent advisory and solutions companies in the world, but we operate under 3 different brand names. So what that means, I always like to tell people, is if we're kind of like Disney, and I'm not meaning that we're going to try to ask you to apply to get in a character suit. What I mean is under the Disney brand, they have ESPN, they have ABC, they have the Disney parks. We're set up in a similar way, but for the talent solutions industry. And so what that means is that we have 3 main brands in the US. We have Adecco Staffing that you see, the Adecco red, and those are general staffing solutions. So they employ a myriad of different roles. We also have our Acotis brand that specializes in IT and engineering positions. So if you're looking to get back into an IT or engineering role, Acotis is a really great brand. And then we have LHH, or Lee Hecht Harrison, that is our talent development solutions company. And that's who we are recruiting for today with this specific returnship. But across the world, the Adecco brand makes a tremendous amount of impact on workers. We help clients put the right types of workforce solutions, both permanent roles and contract roles, into place. We provide outplacement services and help those workers transition into new roles if needed. And overall, we have 39,000 employees across the globe. We operate in 60 countries around the world, and we have enabled 3.5 million careers last year, and we're on track to do even more this year. So we can go ahead and go over to the next slide. And I just want to share a little bit more about LHH Harrison. They are end-to-end talent solutions. And what that means is they do really anything that you can think of that you might need in terms of how to build your career, transition your career. LHH is here to help you. We have our recruitment solutions arm, which helps place people into professional jobs. We have leadership development, where you can get connected with executive coaches, both virtual and in person, and they can help line you up with different positions. And then we have career transition and mobility. And that's primarily when you are sometimes companies have to downsize, sometimes they're moving things around. They're going to help you transition into another job, get your resume up to date, everything like that. So they actually help you throughout your they help clients through the entire talent life cycle, and they help connect people with great jobs like the one that we're about to talk about. I have Carrie Ola here with me. Carrie is a recruiter for LHH and helping us place sales executives. This role is really unique because we don't have a set pedigree, but we do have some traits that Carrie's going to go over, and some preferences that we would like to go over for this position. So it is a returnship, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means later. Carrie, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lane. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet all you guys. So anyway, the sales executive, let me start by letting you guys know, as of right now, the areas that we are recruiting in currently for our next class that will be starting on November 1st. So I'm looking for sales executives in Michigan, Dallas and Houston, Denver, New York, New Jersey, Raleigh and Greensboro, North Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. Now, these roles are remote to the effect that when you're not out visiting a client, you're working from home. So you must be in a local area that I'm recruiting for. So if you see a role for Michigan, it says Michigan, and you live in Texas, I'm going to just send you a decline because I need you to be in the area that you are that I'm recruiting in. So these roles, you guys can read the job description, but one of the things that we truly look for are people with business to business experience. What I look for from a soft skill perspective is just enthusiastic communication, high energy, the drive and the desire to do the job. One of the things that this role that I have to, when I talk to people about this role, is part of the KPIs for this role, you would be required to do 75 plus calls per day, and 90% of those calls are going to be cold calls. So you have to have a little bit of a thick skin. Those are a lot of calls to make in one day. Plus going out and meeting some clients face-to-face as well, where you actually have a committed time and day to go out and visit a client. So that's lots of fun as well. So I'm looking for all those people. So what we do is our next class is November 1st. And we typically will be hiring 30 to 40 people across the US for this. And then you would be in a 90-day training program to start. It's an amazing program. We have a dedicated team of trainers that do nothing but train for us. So our goal is to make sure that you are successful in every way, shape, and form, and will perform and make a lot of money with us. That's our goal. So, and that training is paid. So for 90 days, the only downside is you won't be making any commissions probably till month 4 or 5. So in addition to the base compensation to start for the majority of the locations is $50,000, and then our commission plans are uncapped. We also have a career progression for our sales executives as well. So as you move up, your base compensation moves up, and then the commission structure stays. I'm not going to go through the commission structure because it's kind of confusing. So, and that would be it on that. So do we want to go to the next slide? So here on the screen is where you guys can go and apply for the jobs. Here is my process. I review every single resume. So you will either get an invitation from me to set up a time to do a phone screen, or you'll just get a thank you, but no thank you from me as well. So I am the only person that's doing the recruiting for the sales executive. So I try to get through all resumes within 2 to 3 days of people applying. But if I don't, hang tight. So you'll get something from me eventually, because this is my sole priority right now, is to recruit for November 1st. And then the other thing with the sales training, just so everybody needs to know, let's say you are, and I review this when I do screen you, if you are hired into one of the training classes, we do not want you taking any time off in that 90 days, because the training is so intensive that if you miss a few days or a week, and then you'll be behind the 8 ball, and the chances of you making it through that training are not going to be good. And again, our goal is to make sure we give you everything you need to be successful in this role and to stay here and make a lot of money.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. I'm going to stop my share now and ask our amazing panelists first. Thank you for your time. That was very, very informative. And I want to know from Lane, can you just tell us a little bit more about why Adecco is doing this program in the first place? What is meaningful to Adecco and LHH as organizations about welcoming returners back into the workforce?
Yeah, absolutely, Destiny. So the simple answer is it aligns with our mission. The Adecco Group and the Adecco Group US Foundation, our nonprofit arm of the business, believes in making the future work for everyone. And specifically, at the foundation, we have programs that are really focused on helping people upskill and reskill. And we're focused on achieving gender parity and getting equal opportunity in the workplace for all types of workers, so we have a more diverse and inclusive career. And that absolutely includes caretakers. At the end of the day, we know that there were a huge number of people impacted by COVID, but even outside of COVID, there's been so many people who at one point or another in their lives, they need to take time off to care for children, to care for a loved one in general. Maybe you have a spouse who's moved, and that's the situation. And so we feel really strongly about, if you want to get back into the workforce, we can create an avenue. And if you have the energy and the emotion and the EQ, what we call it, the soft skills and the enthusiasm to get back into the workforce, like Carrie said, we can train you the technical skills. So this returnship, we've actually agreed to do 2 returnships with Path Forward, which is really amazing, because we want to make sure that we're connecting returners back to the business and give them opportunities to climb.
Excellent. That is music to our ears, and that's why we are so excited here at Path Forward for this program. And I've seen a lot of excitement in the chat. I saw someone say, I could sell X to a bear. I won't say what they said they could sell, but I love that. And so Carrie, this question is for you. If someone doesn't have prior sales experience, but they know that they have what it takes to sell, they have a seller's spirit, what could they put on their resume to reflect that? How can they best showcase those sales skills in absence of prior sales experience?
That's a tough one, because I obviously look at everybody's resumes. Even sometimes if somebody had retail experience, talking about the ability to, how many customers do you talk to a day, and did you have to make calls for anything? My whole thing is the number of calls per day that you have to make. So if you can show anywhere on your resume in any role where you had to do some cold calling or even if you were like a collections person and had to make a bunch of calls to collect money, that's what I'm looking for, because 75 calls a day, that's a lot of calls. And so in wanting to get people to understand that's a big part of the job. And are you always going to have to do that many calls? No, but in the beginning, because you're building your book of business, that's what you need to do to build your book of business. And the other thing I tell people, because I get this question a lot, was how soon can I make commissions? And It's all about you. It's all about what you are going to, if you're going to be like, okay, I'm just going to do 50 calls a day and a couple visits a week, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. We do have a lot of sales executives in our company that do very well from a compensation standpoint, and we want that for everybody. And as I share with the candidates that I talk to, we get graded on that. We track all of that. So again, we just don't hire a bunch of people and go, oh, let's just hope most of them will work. No, we want every single person that we hire in these roles to succeed and make a lot of money. And that's where my screening piece comes in. The second part of that process is getting through a panel interview with 2 managers. And then we do also, the third part of that panel interview is having that person give a persuasive 3 to 5 minute persuasive presentation to the 2 managers on the call. And you're going to sell them something. It can be anything. It can be a cupcake or a widget or a pen. And so we're looking for creativity. We're looking for drive. We're looking for desire. We're looking for how do you communicate, with the person on the other end. And then the final part of that is a written scenario that they send. And that scenario might be, okay, so you're working at a gym and you're selling memberships, and you have a couple walks in and they've never worked out at a gym. How are you going to sell them a membership? Again, we're looking for creativity. How persuasive can you be? So a lot of that doesn't come from being in sales. It's just how creative can you be? How persuasive can you be without being like a car salesman? And I hope nobody on the call is a car salesman, but it's just, a lot of it's very tactful, and part of the training is, here's some things to help you when you're making calls. But yeah, it's just, I think our interview process is very quick. It's just 2 parts, but getting people to do that persuasive piece, verbally and written, is huge.
I also just want to say, Destiny, just kind of thinking about it. I know, Carrie, you mentioned retail, and even though that's not necessarily a cold call, if you are working in a department store and you have to interact with 300 to 500 people a day and ask them if you can help them find something, or if you were a barista or a restaurant worker, that's absolutely making sure that you're positively influencing someone's experience and selling them to come back. So you can definitely weave some of that language into your resume and into your interviews.
Absolutely. And I think folks that might have a background in development, right? Fundraising, nonprofit work, yes. Recruitment, having to recruit volunteers or, recruit for any kind of programming. That's the same kind of principle, right? You want to bring people in. Are you someone who can bring people in to whatever it might be, right? And you may not have done that professionally before, but maybe you've done that for volunteer work, right? Maybe you were selling raffle tickets at your kid's Little League game. That's a lot of talking. That's a lot of coordination. So those backgrounds, right? Things like that. Keep an open mind. And that's true for all roles. Demonstrate your curiosity and your problem solving skills and your creative thinking, because that's needed for all roles, especially a sales role.
And actually, I do look, when I'm looking at people's resumes, if I'm kind of like on the border, I look and see if they have any sports in school ever, and I don't care how long ago it was, or do you do any type of volunteer work or anything like that? I do actually look for that as well. So
excellent. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Inside tip: put that volunteer experience on there. Put that sportsmanship on there. Carrie, I have another question for you, because I think it's important context for the people listening right now. Can you talk a bit about what the product is that they'd be selling, that this team would be selling on?
So you would be selling our staffing solutions. And so it's either contract or temporary, whatever lingo, temp to hire and direct hire. Temp to hire would be somebody that would be on a contract for X number of months. The company would hire them on permanently and pay a fee. Direct hire would be you go start at a company and the company hires you on their payroll day one, they pay a fee. And contract or temporary is just what it is, temporary. Now you would be selling all of our business lines into any industry. So you are considered like a one-stop shop for any company that you would work with. The key to these roles is, as a sales executive, you are just bringing in requisitions or job orders. When you bring one in, it goes to the recruiter who specializes in that particular niche. and that recruiter fills the role. So you don't have to stop and go, okay, now I need to advertise, I need to interview. No, you just keep bringing in positions, the recruiter fills it, and then the commission gets split 50-50. So, but I think that's so huge that you just keep going and going and going, and you don't have to stop what you're doing to recruit on it. Now, the other thing I always tell my people is, as a salesperson, you maintain that client. Just because you're giving that position over to the recruiter to fill, the recruiter does not own companies, they own candidates. So that client will always be yours. So you don't have to worry about, if their client calls the recruiter and gives them an order, you're still going to get credit for it because it's your client. So.
Got it. So in a scenario where I'm a sales executive for LHH and Lane is someone I've sold to, and I've maybe sold a direct hire package for a role, even though I'm passing it over to my colleague who will do the recruitment and the sourcing, I'm still the relationship manager for Lane. And
Yes,
if Lane
correct.
says, hey, we made a great hire through you, what about your leadership development stuff? I think we could bring in, we have a need for leadership development at our organization. Lane is still going to work with me because I'm her relationship manager as the sales executive.
Correct.
And whatever other product she wants to buy from us, that's great. I'm still going to make that sale and then pass it over to whoever will execute on that sale.
Correct.
Excellent. I like that. It's very plug and play. All right. So Lane, I have another question for you. What is it that you love about being part of Adecco? What brought you here? What makes you stay here? And what makes you want to bring Adecco to more folks? What is it about the company's culture that just gives you the warm and fuzzies?
That's really easy for me to answer. And first of all, it's a love of people and the fact that this company actually does love people. So when you're a sales executive, the thing that you can walk in every single day as you talk to clients or you're trying to get job orders, and the mindset that you create is, when I was a recruiter, I started as a recruiter as well. And Carrie knows this feeling. You actually are helping people find work and find economic stability. And when we put people back to work every single day, like we hope that we hire a bunch of you, and then you're technically paying it forward as a sales executive or a recruiter at our company. The other thing that I love about the Adecco group is we are all over the place. So when you could be in LHH specifically, they want to see you succeed. So starting with this 90-day training program, you're going to have a cohort with you. You have people who have spent and invested thousands of dollars in making sure that you're successful. So 75 calls a day is a lot. Like, let's not cut it yourself short. Like it's a lot, but somebody's going to teach you how to do it, how to be successful, how to talk, how to think, and how to make sure that you're doing those connections. And it's the same in all of our brands. And then I love that we have upward mobility. So the great thing about sales is if you do it for a few years and you think, maybe I want to go be an actual branch manager, or maybe I want to go try the recruiting side, or maybe I want to think about being an executive coach. There's opportunities to do that and move around in the company. And we absolutely encourage that. We have tons of leadership and development. Once you get your foot in the door as a colleague here, you can go do more intense one-on-one client relationship management. There's just a million different things to do. I mean, I kind of call myself the success story, Destiny. I've gone through in 8 years and I've worked in a couple of different brands. I've been a recruiter, I've been a client manager, I've been a project manager, and all of those experiences built on the next one to what I'm doing today. So that's what I think is so amazing about the Adecco group is our actual mission is helping people get great career jobs, and we are helping our own people do it as well.
That is so fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Lane. Carrie, there's a lot of excitement in the chat and in the Q&A about the 90-day training period, and both of you have spoken a lot about it, but is there anything else you can say about the structure of that training period, and anything else our audience should know about that?
Yeah, I can really just give you a quick outline of what that training looks like. So for the first 2 weeks, and every person is assigned their own trainer. So it's a combination of one-on-one with this trainer, and then classroom sessions, and then one-on-one time with the market director that you are reporting to. So I always tell people, envision this. So you're at a horse race, right? And all the horses are lining up, getting ready to go. So the first 2 weeks, we open the gate and everybody goes, we fly. So the first, literally we get people like in it like right away. So your first 2 weeks, we give you some assigned lists. We'll do some basic training in Salesforce, which is where you would document all of your sales. Our other ATS system is Bullhorn. We'll do some conversation flow. We'll do some role plays, and then 3 to 4 times a day, you guys are going to get together and do 20 plus dials per sprint. So 3 to 4 times a day. That's your first 2 weeks. So like, but after the first 2 weeks, you should be exhausted because you're gonna be on the phone all this time and be like, okay, this is really what it's gonna be like. Then weeks 4, then we go into the classroom. So we have classroom sessions. There would be one-on-one coaching. We make sure that you understand your KPIs for the role, and then there would be guided planning. And at that point, you would get some time, one-on-one time with your market director. 8 weeks on, they do deeper dive classroom sessions and deeper dive weekly learning groups, and then more time with your market director. Now, after you graduate after 90 days, it doesn't mean you can't get any more training. If you need more training, you just raise your hand and be like, I need some help. Because again, we want to ensure that everybody is successful in this role. And as a company, we have so much training you can do anyway, but I also learned our more seasoned sales executives can sign up to be like a coach, like a one-on-one coach. So we've actually shown where people that have been struggling that signed up to get a coach went from like here to here, and then wound up being successful and staying. So again, we try to do everything we can to get people that to be good and make a lot of money. So we just, like I said, just because you graduate the 90 days and you have to graduate the 90-day training, it doesn't mean your training stops. You just have to be able to, raise your hand and be like, hey, I'm struggling, I need some help, and we'll get them help, whatever they need.
Absolutely. What a past supervisor once told me was the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Right. So if you need that extra help, be a squeaky wheel. It's only going to benefit you. It's not going to make you look bad.
Right.
And that's just my message to everyone who's contemplating this and thinking about the training. Thank you for adding that. There's more training available for those who need it. And then for the 90-day period, I know that you said, please don't take any PTO. It will not benefit you in the long run. But what if someone maybe just had one day they needed, it was an appointment that they couldn't miss, that's already been scheduled, or needed something a half day?
It depends where in the training that day off falls. So my process is when I'm screening somebody, if they're like, I need this day off, I said, okay, if we move forward with you, I have to get that approved first. And we've got our training people have this whole calendar. They do certain things during the training. And if it's usually in probably the first couple months, probably not. If it's toward the end, then it's the market director's discretion whether or not they can allow that. But it's just one day. I don't see that as a big deal. But again, it would depend where it falls in the training. If it would be like in the very beginning, probably not. So
understood. And then one more question around the whole remote hybrid style. So I think there are some questions in folks' mind is, okay, so it's remote. I know I have to do these meetings in person. So are there any hard and fast rules to like the radius from the city centers that you've mentioned? So I'm from New York, so I'll just use New York as an example. If you have a base in New York and I live in Connecticut, and so that's commutable to New York, but for me, it might be a 1.5 hour commute. Maybe it's a 2 hour commute. Are there any hard and fast rules, or is it at the individual's discretion? Because they're the one who's going to have to be doing that commute.
It's at the individual's discretion. And I can tell you at this point, when I've gotten into the radius of where people live, most people don't want to travel an hour to go to a client visit 5 times a week or 6 times a week or something. So yeah, that would be a discretion. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anybody would want to do that any length of time, because that KPI will probably never go away, the client visits. So
absolutely. But it's very much, if I'm a person where like, look, I know that I'm happy to travel 1.5 hours for a client meeting, that's on me. I can still apply.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we are just at about time. So I want to thank you both for your time today and our wonderful audience. I know that there are lots of questions still in the Q&A, so audience members, sit tight. We will get those questions answered for you and send them out in the follow-up along with a recording of this event and the slides that were shared. And so my one final parting question to both Carrie and Lane, if there's anybody on the line right now listening who still feels like they're on the fence, they're not quite sure, what's your parting word of advice for someone who's not sure if this is for them? So I'll start with you, Carrie.
They should just apply. If they get a conversation with me, they'll be so excited when they're done. They'll be like, yes, I want to do this. And that's why I always tell people, after we're done and you get scheduled for your panel interview, if you change your mind, let us know. Because I do. I get so excited when I talk to people about what we do and what I'm looking for. And then the people get as equally excited. So, they're really excited to get off the call. And then 24 hours later, they're like, oh, I don't really know if I want to make $50,000 a year to start and make 75 calls a day. So I would just always ask people if they change their mind just to let us know, but it can't hurt. It's a 30-minute conversation with me, and you can always tell me in the middle of it or at the end or after you're scheduled for your panel that it's not for you, then we're okay. That's okay.
That is okay. I love it. Just apply. And Lane, what about you? What's your parting word of advice or encouragement?
So I just finished this book by Reshma Sajani, one of our other partners at Moms First, and it's called Brave Not Perfect. And the answer is, if you are you're on the edge, just like Carrie said, apply. That's your first step in being brave, and it's one of many more that you'll take as you take some calls and realize that you're so much more capable than you thought when you become a sales executive at LHH. And it is a little bit tough to start. Like, you have a learning curve. So does every other job. Keep going. I know if you are a returner, going back to work can be a little bit daunting, but take that first step in bravery, because every step forward is going to pay off, and there's no harm in trying.
That's right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Lane. Thank you, Adecco and LHH. And of course, thank you, our community here. We are very, very excited about this opportunity. So if any questions come in, email us at program@pathforward.org. And we'll see you all again soon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Bye.